The dwarf jar is purchasable now. In the description below there is a link to the Merchcraft website where you can get it, and the stretch goals are visible there as well. In 2 hours from this video being posted, I'm going to do the first stream of the 2 weeks the figure will be available for. Anyway, let's get to the video. 4 artists draw 10 creature bits each, scramble them up, and pick 5 to make into a design, then show them to each other at the end. Which isn't anything new, but it's fun. And I ended up getting a creature concept for Rust and Trenches out of it. Once again, Treelancer and Emmy are joining us, but another artist has joined us as well, Velga. So let's get right into it. The recording was a little long, so let me just show you what all of us got. And of course, if you want to see what the others came up with, you gotta go check out their videos, which I have linked in the description below. I did not mention we can also add one card of our choosing. I decided to add Thick Bristles. The way I started thinking about the creature due to the Wound and Spear card was that it survived some great battle, but we can also say that the spears grow out of its back, like thick bristles, causing its skin to tear and become wounded. But I couldn't just have it be like a porcupine, cause the spear card made me feel that there needed to be an extra step in either the creation or the use of the spears, which made me look at the glowing organ card. What if it doesn't glow because of bioluminescence, but because it's red hot? A living forge is quite a classic design, I'd say. I can think of a few I've seen with hot molten cores, so I did want to make it stand out in some way, so I thought, why not make it really on the nose? Add bio-billows and smokestacks to keep the fire roaring like a literal forge. And of course, all of this on the back of some crustacean because of the claw prompt. And to bolster the spear prompt even more, I thought, well, spears are sometimes thrown, so let's have this creature use them as a ranged attack. And because of it being a crustacean, I immediately thought of pistol shrimp as also having a ranged attack, so why not have it so this creature can launch the metal spears like a railgun? This was the point I thought, okay, I have to use this in Rust and Trenches. I can't not use a sick-ass concept like that in my own world. So this is officially the first magic-using creature we are introducing into the world. And yes, there are a lot more to come, but this one just sort of happened first by chance. One issue I had was how does it get the spears growing out of its back into the barrels of its front claws? The solution me and some people on the Discord stumbled upon was break action claws, which is incredibly silly. I mean, the whole concept of a giant living forge lobster with billows and smokestacks making its own ammo to launch at enemies with its magic railgun claws is silly, but the break action claws just made it so much more apparent. But it's also so cool that I want to pull it off. It's like a challenge to shove this into the world and still have people go, yeah, that fits. Nothing wrong with that next to the giant walking finger tanks and deformed mages. If I just weather the thing and cover it in dirt and mud appropriate to the trenches, then I think it'll just blend in. So I did try to draw it in a scene. The color as well was something I went back and forth on. I know it would make most sense if the thing was brownish to blend in with its environment, but colorful shrimp are neat. Eventually, I settled on keeping the front of the thing rather plain to make it blend into the environment a little more, but to make its tail vibrant, and just say that it tends to have a behavior of covering itself in muck and mud to disguise itself better, but in mating season, it displays its vibrant colors to attract mates. Anyways, this is all I'll say. Let's show it to the others and see what they think.
So, yeah, I was gonna say that I saw.
Yes, goddammit. Everybody saw it when created the server, but yeah, that lives within the trenches of my world. And I liked the design so much at the time. I don't like it anymore. There are things to fix, but I still like the idea. I'm still gonna use it. It's just that I have to rework the design a bit.
One, you're so hard on yourself, man. And two, fuck you, you're so creative.
Yeah, dude, cool.
Really, really cool. Like this, your dwarf concept, your whole magic system. You, man.
I realized that because of it being more literal with the bellows and the chimneys, I could literally just shove it into my own magic system, so that's what I did.
To cut it short, I babbled on about the slag shell, but let me summarize it. The slag shell's natural habitat has been engulfed by the trenches of war, like many other creatures, but surprisingly, or not so surprisingly enough, the slag shell adapted quickly and comfortably to its new environment. The reason for their over-the-top offensive capabilities is theorized to be due to their natural prey, the cannonball snail. These very large, incredibly tough-shelled creatures launch themselves into the air at high speeds when startled. What? A second magic creature in one video? I can't believe it! Anyway, the slagshell and cannonball snail have been in an arms race. The snail keeps growing thicker armor, and slagshell keeps getting stronger break-action railgun claw shots. The slagshell also eats other things, but it naturally gravitates to eating the snails due to the metal content they have in their shells, which the slagshell also slowly eats to turn into spears. Another interesting interaction is that the slagshell isn't the smartest thing, and often mistakes soldiers with armor as cannonball snails, and hunts them down relentlessly. When traveling through slagshell territory, soldiers are advised to take off their armor to not be confused for cannonball snails, and if that doesn't help, to throw the armor at the slagshell for it to eat or just to confuse it. Also, its chimney and front claws are amazing inputs and outputs, and are incredibly prized amongst mages, and therefore craftsmen. Naturally occurring inputs and outputs are often better than man-made ones. A man-made kinetic rifle the same size as one made using a slagshell claw would be worse in pretty much every way, heavier and less efficient at accelerating projectiles when using the same amount of mana. Another thing is, if you do manage to take out a slagshell, if you're fast enough, you could technically use the residual heat of its forges to cook its own meat, and the magic organ that heats the forges can be reactivated with an infuser, or any mage should be able to do it too. Okay, enough lore and being happy about my design, let's get into criticisms. With the scene, the more I worked on it, the less I liked it. What I should have done was make thumbnails first to play around with the light and find one that benefits the mood of the scene the most. And the design itself, I think, doesn't hit some of the prompts as well as it could have, especially wound and trypophobia. The holes on its back that the spears grow out of just don't look right yet. I wanted them to look more visceral, like boils or pimples maybe. And lastly, the creature is a giant land lobster, but I feel like some evolutionary changes would happen to it to make it more fit to be on land like this. Basically, just make it a little more than just a giant lobster. I should use some bug references maybe, grasshoppers or beetles. I'm gonna keep working on the design after this to quell my perfectionism, or well, mediocritism, but I also think leaving it for now and coming back to it later with fresh eyes, same as the dwarves, would be good, so I don't fall into the same hole as with the Vertian soldier design. Anyway, again, if you want to see what the others did with their prompts, you gotta hop over to their channels in the description below. And I guess I'll see you in 2 hours. Take care.